I really struggled with those visits. I could never understand why she left. And they couldn't control her behavior either. So, a lot of broken promises. But they still did their best. My mom would drive me to pretty much wherever my birth mother was living. She was kind of all over the place. When she was in New York and Rhode Island, my mom would drive me hours to go see her. I do truly believe that everybody's story is different, but I get a little curious when I hear adult adoptees say that they were never interested or curious about meeting their birth families. It makes me have so many questions because my personal experience and what I've learned through adoption research and my education is that most adoptees are curious about where they came from.
I never saw my mother's face when I desperately needed to see it, when it meant life or death, and parts of me did die. For so long, it was her absence that filled my world. Now I saw her and gazed into her eyes as she gazed into mine. She was so young. 16 years old. She is my mom, my universe.
I worked in my parents' country store. Someone came in. I don't know how that topic came up, but we were talking about adoption, and I said I was adopted. And they wanted to know the usual thing. Have you met your real family? And I just smiled. I said, I've never wanted to know that. And this is the sort of thing I now would have gone back after coming out of the fog and re-examined and said, that was really the voice of my parents, wanting so desperately for that not to matter to me that I would display to somebody else, no, that's not an important thing. Nope, I don't want to do that. But the truth was, as I looked back and examined it, I really did have an interest in finding out.
I searched at age 42 because my relationships were imploding and I didn't know why. I was smart. I'd done therapy. I should have been a paragon of self-knowledge. And instead, I was a man whose lovers took off, and all of them said they'd been lonely with me.
I was told, that the nuns told my parents, and my mother would say, Jack, the nuns told us that your father was Italian and your mother was German and Irish. I was mid-40s, 42 maybe. My daughter was born. So now I'm seeing my daughter. And then my daughter's like 3 years old when the state finally got back to me and they said, yeah, we found your mother. Here's her name, here's her address, here's her phone number. And it just like, boom, here's your name, number, phone number. Like, don't I need a counselor here with me or something?
You should.
Yeah. Right, ideally. But once again, clueless as to what I was really opening up,
When I did meet my birth family, hugged my birth father for the first time in a hotel lobby. I was 18 years old, and for the first time in my entire life, and I mean my entire life, I felt whole and I felt like I deserved to be alive. It was like I had never taken a real breath before, and suddenly I was breathing. My life could finally start. And that, I think, was the real fantasy. That I could wait to start my life until they came to get me.
My adoptive parents, my mother in particular, she's a knowledge seeker. And so she was really open to the process. And again, we're talking 52 years ago. So, right, this was when people weren't really supporting the story, to keep the story. They were supporting, like, your kid's adopted now they're yours and move along. And she, I think, did her best. And now even, oh my God, amazingly. I think this is when I've needed her the most in my story. And I was scared to tell her that I'd found my birth mother because I didn't want to hurt her feelings and I wasn't sure how she was going to respond and all that. But she has been so amazing. Like, for me to be like on a Saturday night, do you want to meet my mother of origin tomorrow morning at 10? Like, and for her to say yes. And I could tell she was nervous, but I mean, she didn't have, I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
I think when I finally connected in my reunion, my maternal reunion, and saw that my younger sister was very studious, and she was in pharmacy school and was doing really well for herself. And then my aunt was a nurse. Then when I came into my reunion on my father's side, I had other nurses, and I had family practitioners, et cetera. I did see examples of people who were doing again, I keep saying like cerebral or something, doing more of the intellectual side of it. And I'm not saying that's superior, but I hadn't grown up thinking it was as valued as what my family was doing.
My darling daughter, I have a gift for you that will change your life. You think you're tough, you with your type A personality and your busy life and your job and your family and your big words and your lots of stuff, your scars. Well, you've been through some things, your tattoos, you make people think a thing or two, but that's all smoke and mirrors. You're all unpeeled. I know adoption did that to you. I didn't know it when I was alive because I was both adoptee and birth mother, but I've had some time to think and now I get it. You want people to know that your mother always loved you, don't you? It's so hard to stand there and admit as a 51-year-old mother of two that you still have this gaping hole in your heart where a mother's love should be. No one to call right away when a monumental occasion happens, no generations of family. But I'm here. I have always been here, just not in the way you might have wanted.